Okay. I want to talk about time and the concept of time and why it is a hindrance for us to experience the present moment. And this has really been an issue for me. As someone that is very impatient and very driven, I have a very... Let's introduce another archetype. I have my inner parent, my inner dad, let's say, my masculine side, has a quality of being very pushy. So instead of just saying inner critic, it has a sub-personality that is the inner pusher. And that is basically a compensation archetype in my inner self, because I have a feeling of not being whole, not being full, not being enough, basically. And what this pusher does, it's compensating for this lacking feeling in myself, and it's always looking for something else to fulfill myself so that I am enough. And this is not an issue as much anymore. Like now I've learned to notice this pattern in myself, and I have a more loving and self-soothing relationship to my inner child, and don't expect like unreasonable things from myself, even though I do have tendency to go back to this when it comes to certain things. Like it's very hard to just relax completely a whole day, and some balance in this is good because it also makes you focused and makes you accomplish things. So to an extent it is good, but it's not good when it's making you feel this: if I don't do enough, I'm not good enough. This is like the unconscious motivational fuel behind the inner pusher. And the inner pusher can really make us very distant from the present moment, because it makes us feel that we have to quickly do stuff, quickly. Like there's this emergency energy behind this, like now, we need to do it now. And it can obsess and it can fixate on things that we need to accomplish. So it's good to have this like insight that if you notice this restlessness in you, and if you have this obsession pattern of wanting more and more and more, you might have an inner pusher that you may or may not have an awareness of. And a good thing to notice is, when does it arise, and to question it, because if you have this pattern, and your parents maybe have this pattern, you got it from them, it's just like a natural thing for you to let dictate your everyday life. But if you question it and go like, do I need to really do that? Like, can I just give myself the day off? If you start to question it and see the unconscious driving force behind it, it becomes less powerful. And that is always the first step, like the awareness of things, the awareness of the unconscious, to then transcend it into your free will. So then, with this laid out, because that is a very thing that we and our ego does, because we have this, like I talked about in the worthiness or value video, it is a big gaping lacking hole for most of us, that we're not enough in this present moment, and we're so scared of feeling that not enoughness, because it is just a void. It is a feeling of a gaping hole. And the ironic thing is that we ourselves can fix it. Like, we can make ourselves choose love instead of fear. But if this doesn't click in us, and we're not ready to take that responsibility in ourselves, we can't really do that anyway. So time then, So what time is, because time is very interesting, because like I said in one video, we can either dread time, like we can suffer so much. For example, if we sit down and meditate and close our eyes and think about the breath, and then the ego comes in after a while and be like, okay, what else, like what's next, and this suffering begins to happen. We think about like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's like you feel the discomfort in your body, something aches, and you like this resistance starts to build up, and the pain is so slow, and maybe you put a timer on for 10 minutes and it feels like forever. But then if you're in the flow of something, if you're creating something, or you're dancing, or you're I don't know what could be your thing, but if you're really into a movie and the time goes so quick, or you're with a friend and time just flies because you have so much to talk about, that is a very interesting thing. Like, what makes you experience something as very dreadfully suffering slow, or time just flies? And the simple thing, the simple answer is, it's your state of presence. It's your, because the time, the concept of time only exists when you measure it against something else. So in the meditation example, if you're thinking about the concept of 10 minutes, you think like, okay, I'm setting my timer on 10 minutes, and then you sit there and you feel pain, and then you tell yourself, oh, I feel pain, and you feel resistance, and you have this avoidant response that you want to relieve yourself of the pain, because that's usually what we do when we feel discomfort. We want to take it away. And then you know that you have 10 minutes, that you're doing this for 10 minutes, and if you just focus on that, like, oh, it's only 10 minutes left, then you're feeling the pain, resistance comes, and you're thinking about the future. You're feeling pain, resistance comes, and you're thinking about the future. And this goes on and goes on until you feel so much pain, so much resistance in your body, that you panic. Like, you feel this feeling of, no, it's too much. And then the suffering is to like an extreme, and you've created that yourself, and isn't that super interesting? It's self-created, but instead, if you allow it, if you sink back to an acceptance of, okay, now I've sat down 10 minutes, and I'm gonna sit down for 10 minutes. And then if pain comes, because this is basically what they teach you in Vipassana, the Buddhist meditation technique that Buddha taught. When you have a pain in your body, and if you just observe the pain without reacting as it being labeled as bad, and you get resistance in your body as a response, if you just observe the pain and let it be, time will flow so much more easily. And this is a realization that time is perceptive. It's all about perspective. Because if you are enjoying yourself so much, let's say when you were with a friend and talking, and time just like flew by, you're enjoying yourself so much. You're getting this social fix with your friend, and your empathy, your intuition is probably most likely into it. Like, you're very invested. Then the concept of time, like, you're not experiencing something and then comparing it to something else, like you're comparing it to what you're gonna do later, or like there's no disconnect from the present moment that you immerse yourself in and the possible future. There's no disconnect, no suffering, and you're just in the moment. And this is our preferred state to be in, so that's why suffering doesn't happen, because you're just supposed to immerse yourself and live fully. Your soul is supposed to be in the moment. Think about your own relationship to time. When does time feel slow? And does it have to feel slow? Are you creating this by yourself? Do you have something in your life that you hate doing, that you're dreading so much? Because you have this resistance towards doing that and creating suffering for yourself. Can you accept what you have to do and see the outcome and try to find a middle with your ego and compensate in that way? Or can you do it slower and try to enjoy the moment? Can you, or if you don't feel that you find any meaning for why you do it, can you try to find an alternative thing to do? So just having this experimental view of what time is and seeing if you can get a relationship to this process that happens in your body when you have an experiential resistance to doing something. I think meditation is very beneficial for this purpose, especially to set a timer and notice what happens in your body. Do you create suffering for yourself? Can you focus on something different so that time flies? Can you be in the flow? Can you allow? It's such a good discipline to introduce this concept of what time is and to have an experiential moment where you actually philosophize, what is time? Can I work with time in some way? So thank you for watching. I feel like I wanted to take this in a different direction, but it ended up here, so this is what was supposed to happen. And if I feel called to do another video about this topic, I will do that. Yeah, thank you for watching.